It's a beautiful narrative, but if you zoom in, past the statues and the speeches, you find a much colder, harder reality. And the twist that most history books conveniently leave out. Those were annoying, but they weren't fatal. The real stranglehold was something most Americans have never even heard of: the Currency Acts. Paper money. Overnight, the liquidity that kept local businesses running evaporated. Farmers couldn't pay merchants, and merchants couldn't pay British creditors, because the only legal currency, gold and silver, was being sucked back to London. We tend to think of men like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson as wealthy aristocrats. And they were, but they were also broke. Many of the Virginia planters were drowning in debt owed to British merchants, all denominated in British pounds. By all rights, the American Revolution should have collapsed in 6 months due to bankruptcy. He needed plausible deniability. So the French foreign minister set up one of the greatest cover-ups in history. He utilized a man named Pierre Beaumarchais, a famous playwright, to create a fake shell company called Roderick Hortalès and Cotin. This wasn't a legitimate business, it was a front for arms smuggling. On paper, it looked like a private trading firm. In reality, it was funneling millions in gunpowder, rifles, and gold from the French government directly to the American rebels. They bought American bonds and extended credit, betting that if the colonies won, the payout would be massive. However, getting the money to America was only half the battle. And Haim Salomon, a Polish Jewish immigrant, was the wizard who converted French loans into usable cash. Without these bagmen handling the logistics, the war effort would have ground to a halt, regardless of how much France sent. The foreign loans that bought independence now had to be repaid. The government responded by marching troops against its own citizens. It was the ultimate wake-up call. Independence hadn't removed the financial chokehold. It just changed whose hands were on the rope. The ideals of the revolution were real, but they were inextricably bound to the ledger books of European bankers. This brings us to a realization that changes how we see the world today. France and Spain. Does that sound familiar? It should. It's the exact same playbook used in the Middle East, Eastern Europe, and Africa today. Great powers rarely fight directly anymore. They find a local group, write them a check, and let them do the dying.